Hello, my name is Andrew Geary, and welcome to Seismic Sound Off, in-depth conversations in applied geophysics. In this episode, I speak with Dr. Wafik Beydoun, the chair of the annual meeting steering committee, to discuss SEG20. Wafik and I discuss what to expect during the all-virtual event, the unique benefits and value of the virtual setting, highlights of the technical sessions, and how networking will be as strong as ever at this SEG. To learn more and register today at half off the regular price, visit seg.org/AM. Now for our conversation. I think what is on a lot of people's minds this year, heading into SEG 2020, is just what will this year's annual meeting look like? So could you share a little bit of what attendees for the SEG virtual meeting will experience this year?
How much time do I have?
All the time you need.
I think first of all, SEG in 2020 is celebrating its 90th anniversary. So that's something we'll be celebrating and you'll be seeing in the annual meeting. But the second big thing is the annual meeting will be for the first time in the history of SEG fully digital. And that will provide a new online experience to all. So that's already a first thing that attendees will notice. And it's, I would say, new experience, not only to attendees, but also to the organizers, because there is no, I would say, digital playbook available yet. We're all discovering a bit how to organize such big events. So, but practically, I think attendees could benefit of this year's annual meeting in three ways. One, by participating in core activities of the program, what I call the signature dishes. The second is seeking special sessions and panels. We're trying to experiment in new areas for SEG. And the last, I would say, way is to experience some of the new digital features that the annual meeting is offering for attendees. So these are the three things. I could go briefly into each of them if you want.
Yeah, please do.
So on the core part, what I would call the signature dishes, we have a strong technical program, 750 presentation. You can imagine the work that all the people involved had to do for doing it virtual. So we have the bags, 4-bag session, interesting, on near surface, the service sector, CO2, CCS, and business in Africa.
And for those, just Wafik, real quick, for those that don't know, that's the business of applied geophysics.
Correct.
Is what BAGS stand for there.
Yes, BAGS is the business side. So they're business-oriented, economic consideration, financial. It's really these 4 topics. We'll look at it from that lens. The special region this year is Africa. So we should have had a luncheon. We're only going to have a keynote on Africa by the National Petroleum Corporation in Ghana. So he'll be giving a keynote. We have the virtual exhibition floor, something that it's new for us to do it virtual. We have the Applied Science and Education Program, the SEG Honors and Awards, and last but not least, the post-convention workshops. So these are more the signature dishes. There are 20 post-convention workshops. So on the first part, that's what they could benefit from directly. Second part is what's new. What are we adding something, sessions, panels, and we're trying to do that. Smaller part of the program is after the opening session, we'll have 2 stimulating panels back to back about the geophysics workforce of the future, like 2 sides of a coin. The first panel will cover what industry government's perspective is regarding the new skill sets for the next generation of geoscientists, the employer side, the demand. And then the second panel will explore what academia is doing to deliver these skills. So it's the offer side of the coin. So I think this is very exciting. It's new also. We're having another panel the afternoon on Monday on sustainability. That's an area that has been gathering a lot of momentum the past 5 years. And SEG needs to see if they want to be part of that kind of dynamics or stakeholder. And we invited distinguished experts in professional societies, research groups to discuss how to improve sustainability practices in material ways, and see if the SEG community is engaged in something like that. We have the best of ERTEC. ERTEC stands for Unconventional Resource Technology Conference that occurred this summer. We're having the best papers in a session dedicated. And last but not least, in the second way of benefiting, is we had a session organized on planetary geophysics. This is an outreach to keep our feet on the ground, but also our heads in space, if you want, or in the planets, is to test, to see, is SEG, who is again a community of applied geophysicists, are we ready to start going beyond subsurface? And that we're testing out, and we'll have this session that will discuss about NASA and other space agencies. What are they doing to deploy geophysical technologies to explore the solar system beyond the Earth? So this is the second. The third last is the virtual experience. What are we bringing that you won't necessarily see in in-person meeting? And I think, again, it's new. We'll test it out. We'll be able to schedule our agenda, to customize our agenda for each attendee ahead of time and signaling us of sessions or talks that we want to see. We can watch again, replay the presentations. That's something new you couldn't do before. And last but not least, a gamification section. This is more the entertaining part to attract attendees to earn points, badges for various activities during the meeting. They can compete against each other and win great prizes. So in a nutshell, these are the three parts. So one, the core program, some of the new stuff, experimental, and last, going virtual, is what are we providing in terms of virtual experience.
You know, there's always pros and cons to any situation. And I think what you just mentioned there about being able to watch these replays, you know, in my years attending SEG, one of the most common complaints isn't the right word, but, you know, realities of going to a conference like this is they're having to miss out on things that they want to listen to and hear because of something else they want to attend. And this year, you actually have the possibility to do both. Which is a pretty unique thing that should definitely not go overlooked by attendees. And the theme this year as well is it's called Shifting Gears in the Digital Speedway. And this theme was long chosen before anything happened with the pandemic. You know, what does this theme mean to you?
It's interesting. It's the decision to use that kind of tagline was taken, as you mentioned, more than a year ago. It was in July, so long before COVID. We were considering different types of themes, but this one came up as resonating very well with SEG's aspirations to remain in the front seat of digital transformations. As you know, geophysicists and the geophysical community have been pioneer in big data analytics. Digital twins is something that's not new. What we call the geo model or things like that. This is the digital twin. We've been working on it for 30 years. AI, machine learning, neural network. We've been using it for decades already. So this is why it resonated. Since originally we were planning an in-person event in the GRB, we used the word speedway in Shifting Gears in Digital Speedway instead of highway as a nod of recognition for the city of Houston, because you have the Buffalo Speedway. And so this is how we came, shifting gears to remain in the front seat of that kind of digital speedway. And a year later now, we realize that this theme is even more relevant than ever. So we're, I think, quite fortunate to have chosen a theme that now going 100% virtual is extremely relevant.
Absolutely. And, you know, you mentioned we've already kind of talked a little bit about the technical program, and I like the way you describe it as a main dish here. Could you just very briefly, you know, we kind of get how the technical talks happen, but in a virtual setting, can you just give a sense of what attendees can expect when they go to hear one of these talks this upcoming year?
We'll be showing them live. A lot of the events, I mean, the normal presentations are pre-recorded, but we'll be showing them in the sequence that was planned in the in-person meeting in terms of schedule. So they may look at these, but the big thing is what you mentioned. They could go back and revisit, review, replay a session that either they missed or it was in parallel with another session that they wanted to watch. So there's a lot of opportunity to really understand what is being presented. The interaction part for each session and some of the panels, we're opening a chat box. So the attendees will be able to ask questions in typing in the chat box. And depending on the session or the panel, some of them will be addressed verbally in panels, that's the case. And others will be addressed in typing. So the questions will also, the speaker or the one who made the presentation will be able to address some of the chat questions writing also by replying in writing. And you'll have all this log of Q&A in record. So they'll be able to go back and revisit them. We'll be having about a month between the event and the time for them to revisit these kind of presentations. So it gives them enough time for all the attendees to really not only revisit the presentations, but also look at the Q&A and some of the questions that have been addressed.
Yeah, that's pretty unique. Just to reiterate that, so for about a month after annual meeting, you'll still have access to these sessions, and people can go back in this platform. I want to get a sense, we're all virtual this year, but we're still having a very exciting and informative exhibition floor. So how will the exhibition floor kind of look and feel this year?
That's one of the big discussions we had in the steering committee. How can we transition from an in-person to a virtual? I've been reassured by SEG staff that in the virtual exhibit hall, you can visit and interact with all exhibitors. We're targeting about 80. We will be able to participate with the exhibitors, either in group or even in one-on-one discussions, watch product demos, collect valuable materials, I think virtually in some sense, but they may ship them to you. And just the experience should be very close to what we do while touring a physical exhibit hall. So I will be very curious to test this out when it becomes open, and I'm sure a lot of the attendees are curious about that. In the background, what's important to know is that the SEG staff has been assisting each exhibitor to ensure that this transformation into the SEG digital platform is done in a smooth or at least effective way. So it's a test this year, but we hope that we'll learn from this year so that if we do future virtual exhibit halls, we'll improve from now on.
When a lot of people think of attending an annual meeting, networking is one of the key features that they think of. So how will SEG connect attendees this year in this all virtual format?
Well, we're putting several places in the platform, in the digital platform, where people can connect, chat. For instance, we're having for each session in the technical program a chat group for that session where attendees can ask questions on all the presentations or specific. You can create a new chat on another topic if you want. So it's clearly not the same way as if meeting the person face to face, but it's something we need to test out in this kind of digital world. I'm sure it'll progress. Future versions of that kind of digital networking, maybe we can have something like a WhatsApp or FaceTime or something where you can see the person and discuss. But for this year, we're having mostly these kind of chat room that are, organized to somewhat provide that kind of networking opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat that you get to see all the questions asked before. You don't have to be in the room. You can see and learn from others, even if you're not there. What are you most personally excited about?
So I like a lot the strong technical program. All those involved in building it have worked tirelessly this year, more so than other years, to build that kind of strong program. They had to transition We all had to, but the technical program, they have 750 presentations from an in-person, then hybrid, then fully digital in the last 4 months. This is how we had to do that. So I know that the technical program is a valuable part, and I'm excited about it. But what I'm most excited is to measure the interest of our attendees on our experimental panels. They have the potential of broadening the scope of SEG activities, like I was mentioning, the workforce of the future for geophysicists, sustainable development, planetary geophysics, it could be geothermal, it could be emission control, but that will be probably next annual events. Unfortunately, we tried to add this. It was starting to be too much work, but there's so many areas where SEG needs to think proactively for the future. And there are a lot of topics that could really be part of SEG, I would say, landscape.
What would you like to say to those who are undecided about whether or not to join SEG this year?
I would tell them to check again the overall program, see how we built it in a unique and valuable way. Registration cost is half of an in-person event. And not only they have the opportunity to watch the game for about a month, but they have all the post-convention workshops included in the same registration. So I would say give it a try. I think it's worth trying it out. And it's an opportunity for those who register to provide the feedback for SEG on how to do things better.
Yeah, the value this year is the best it may ever be. So it's a great year to capitalize. And I think one thing you've mentioned throughout is all of the technical programs, the workshops, people have even worked harder this year. So, I mean, the content is still going to be what you expect. I mean, people have worked very hard with everything that's going to be shown. And finally, just in 1 to 2 sentences, what would you like to say to attendees coming and attending SEG virtually?
So I hope that this annual meeting will provide them with new knowledge, skills, expanded network, digital, I would say, inspiration, and overall a fabulous experience. I'd like to thank them all for participating, and this goes from exhibitors, sponsors, presenters, volunteers, and thank them for the opportunity to help make this SEG an annual meeting to remember, and make sure for them to provide us with the feedback on how to improve this first online event.
Well, thank you for your dedication this year to an unusual situation, but making the most of it. It's going to be an exciting virtual meeting, an annual meeting that people won't want to miss. So thank you for highlighting what is about to happen in a few weeks.
Thank you. Take care, Andrew. See you later.
Okay, have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to SEG's flagship podcast, Seismic Sound Off. SEG produces these episodes to benefit its members, the geophysics community, and inform the public on the value of the science. To show your support for the show, please share this episode with a friend, colleague, or manager that would enjoy hearing this show. Your recommendation is the single best action you can take on behalf of SEG's podcast. Go to the website at seg.org/podcast to find all the episodes and learn how you can subscribe for free directly on your phone. Original music by Zach Bridges. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by Andrew Geary at 51 Features. The SEG podcast team is Ted Bakamjian, Jennifer Crockett, Allie McGinnis, and Mick Sweeney. Thank you for listening. This is Seismic Sound Off, signaling off.